I've sold an average of a product every 11 minutes.
Is there something that you've done over the last kind of year or two that you feel has really helped that, or is it like lots of little things?
It was just reinvest, reinvest, buy more stock, buy more stock, buy more stock, and just building up that pot of money, if you like, to really get a good, stable base.
Your friend's going to start Amazon. Before they start, what's the one
I'm
piece of
probably,
advice?
I'm probably going to say a few things. Take some action and do it, and don't live in regret, and don't go in 2 years' time. Oh, maybe I should have done it 2 years ago. If you haven't already started, the best time is now. If you enjoy what you do, you never work another day in your life.
We're joined here with Paul Scholes. He's been a member of Seller Pro Academy. You're part of the furniture, basically. But today we're going to be looking at the last kind of year or so of your journey as a seller, breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly, and seeing, how you can hopefully give some people some more information about what to look out for. But first of all, give us a breakdown of who you are for people that don't know, and a brief history of your kind of Amazon selling journey.
Yeah. So as you said, Paul Scholes. So my history, I guess, is really within engineering, and that's kind of what I've been doing for the last sort of 15, 17 years professionally, engineering and a bit of project management. So this was really, apart from the odd sort of selling bits on eBay, this was kind of the first kind of step into the real sort of e-commerce world, as kind of treating it as a real business, I guess. So I joined the academy back in just at the end of 2020, as a let's put my toe in the water, let's see what it's about, get some knowledge, get some training to kind of get to see what it's about and how to do it, and kind of get set up right from the start, I guess. So it took about 6 months for me to find my first product and to get that, get samples of that, to get it launched and into Amazon. So within 6 months it was there live on Amazon, which was quite surreal when you first see your first product there on Amazon, which just seems a bizarre concept to start with. And then obviously when you first get those sales, that's even more of a boost that you're doing something right, or someone must like your product because someone's buying it. So yeah, that was really sort of that first buzz, and it really just grew from there. I think that the sales were coming in well, the growth was there, and it was really just, you start to see the side that how big this could become, and I'll say how little work it requires, but as in I wasn't directly putting in work to get money. Okay, yeah, you got to do work in the background, but if you have a day off, you still get some sales in. And that was really when it started, I suppose, clicking for me, as to how this can become more of a lifestyle business and work around your life, rather than it being fixed and then having to kind of fit your life in around your work. So yeah, that was probably the sort of the start of it for me.
Yeah, and that was going back now, that was like pre-COVID, like a year, years and years ago now. But like the interesting thing I think you've just mentioned there is that feeling of, oh, it's on Amazon. Amazon is this like big thing. This is like, oh, it's Amazon, and you can get your thing that you made on there. And yeah, it is a weird, surreal, like, oh, cool, like it's actually there. And then when you get that first sale, it is super weird because you're like, hang on a minute, did I ask that person? Did they already buy it? No, that's like a real person. Oh, my PP's, oh my God, like someone's bought this. And yeah, it just like clicks and falls into place. So I remember when I first started and I was checking my phone in the toilet of my job, because they wouldn't let me have my phone out, in the actual like area. So I'd go to the toilet, I'm like swiping to update. It's such a weird feeling. And a lot of people say, like the types of products you go into is like, don't do this product, don't do that product, like go between these price barriers and the price barriers. And I think that the thing that I really like about your journey is that, you've gone for something and like the average price product is, I don't know, £10 or something like that.
Yeah, just under £10, my main product. And it was really, for me, it was really what was meant to be a bit of a starter product, just to test the process out, to say, right, well, how do you talk to the suppliers? How do you get the samples? How do you tweak it? The packaging, the branding, all that side. I just wanted to do something, I guess, low risk at the time and low value to, my first order, including shipping, was sort of just over £2,000, which is peanuts, really.
And do you know how many units you've done now of that product?
I think it's more like 100,000 of them. Yeah. It's something It's absolutely crazy. But it was just meant as I'll just test the process out, and then it's like, well, actually, no, I'll get some more of these. I'll get some more, and it just, I think it was the right product at the right time in an area that then happened to just be growing as well, and it still continues to grow. And that's now my like the cash cow, if you like, or the main
Yeah.
product.
And it's funny that you wouldn't have thought that at the beginning, but I just want to come back to that, like 100,000, right?
Yeah,
And
it is.
I think like we can throw out numbers like all day long, like this many units, this much revenue. 100,000 is a lot of products, and that's 100,000 customers.
Yeah, and that
That's
was
a
it.
lot of people, man.
It is, and it's nice that it is a product that can go on, or is on the subscribe and save as well. So you do get. It's not as quite regular as some of the products that people buying every month, but this is something that every 6 months or every year people will be buying it, and again, it's nice that people are coming back to buy the same product, and again that helps with that average, the lifetime value of customers as well. That that actually you're paying a bit more maybe to acquire them, but actually if they go onto the subscribe system, then yeah, you've got them there hopefully for many years to come.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And that's a good, I think nowadays, if there's like sellers watching this, one of the big, I was speaking to a seller, their company's now public, so they're doing pretty well, right? And they say that they only really go into subscribe and save products, or products that have a sale potential, promotion potential from one of their other subscribe and save products. Because it's such a good area where, yeah, if you know your lifetime value of the customer, your average cost to acquire a customer, and if you know those figures, that really becomes powerful when you're running PPC, right?
Yeah, you're right.
If you're looking for more product ideas in the future, is that something that you're now thinking of, like, okay, I want to make sure I try and find something that's cross promotion, or something that's like subscribe and save?
So it's interesting. So I did kind of branch out with sort of 2 or 3 other brands, which were probably more one-off. You always going to get the occasional customer that comes back and buys another for birthday present, whatever they do. So you always get a bit of the odd repeat customers. But most of the products in those other brands were just pretty much just one-off purchases. And now, kind of strategy-wise, I guess where I'm going is building out the original brand, building on the original product, and they are then products which fit. I guess there's 2 parts to me. Fits within really building that brand, building products and the awareness across, and going sort of deeper within variations, etc. But again, all those products that go in there are ones that go on that subscribe and save system. So yeah, that's the bit where you sort of throw out a little bit, I guess, kind of see what sticks, and then you kind of see and then home in on those things and go, actually, this is the brand, these are the products, this is where I want to spend my time and my focus. So yeah, so that it's quite and it is hard. I wouldn't do it for a first product in terms of some of the real aggressive areas like the supplements and things like that, because some of those you literally have, unless you've got deep pockets to do your advertising to start with, then yeah, brilliant to get into, but really hard to get into. So yeah, there are watch outs that, yeah, just because it is a monthly or a recurring one, just watch out that there are some very competitive.
It doesn't have to be monthly, doesn't it? I think this is one of the key things. If it's like, I always think to myself when I go to buy the same things on Amazon, I'm like, oh, why don't I just set up a subscribe? I'll save 15%, and I know that I buy one every 3 months or every 6 months. Like, why don't I just do that? So I think what I guess people need to understand is that it doesn't need to be every 2 weeks or every month. Like, if there's a way to get a customer to buy more than one of your products, then that's always going to be a good thing. And even if it's not subscribe and save, and it's a product where you can buy multiple of them at the same time, on your listing, having buy 2 get X% off, buy 3 get X% off, buy 4, buy 5, buy 6, buy 7, and you can really like stack those to get some big discounts, like incentivize people to buy more than one.
And I do that. So there is the option where you can set up, so you get 5% off 2 products, 10% if you buy 3 products, whatever and so you can play about with those. You can also play about with business pricing. So again, there's a small percentage, but there's a percentage of the customers which are business customers. So again, if you make your business price just a penny lower than your normal price, then that supposedly helps that show up when business Amazon customers are searching, then your product should show up a little bit higher as well. So yeah, there's a little
Like
trick,
weird little
little
tricks,
tip
right?
in there.
These are the little tricks that you like that are important for sellers. Like, yeah, actually, if you're the person that's doing that and some of your competition aren't doing that, then that gives you a slight edge and you lose nothing because of it. Like,
No,
absolutely nothing. And you actually, in fact, you could probably gain a lot, because if you're running advertising to that customer, your cost per click might be less comparatively, because
yeah.
you've got that badge, right? Or you've got that option, you've got that pricing. And like badge hacking, and like what's your opinion on discounts and like badge hacking and lowest price in 30 days and all this sort of stuff? Is this something that you're kind of actively look at, or
I do a little bit. I'll be honest. I don't do massive amount with coupons. Every now and again, I'll play about with them and do a £3 off, of 10% off, whatever, and kind of have a little play. Especially, to be fair, it's good on some of the products. You go, actually, they just need that bit of a boost to get going again, or actually that's a product I kind of want to clear out a little bit. So that you can use them in terms of that sort of tactical way to help sort of move some of the product that you need to. But even for the high selling products, I guess it's really playing with pricing is quite a key. I'm generally a little bit higher maybe than some of the competitors, so it's nice every now and again I will sort of drop the price down just as like a sale and run it for sort of like a week, just to kind of get a little bit more momentum.
What would you say then is the biggest, so the lowest hanging fruit for most like sellers? So they've got their product, they're doing okay, they're doing well, but they want to like build it to the point that where you've got yours, and they can go, right, well, this is working really well, we can now look at more brands, we can reinvest into the company. Is there something that you've done over the last kind of year or two that you feel has really helped that, or is it like lots of little things?
So I'd say to start with, so for anyone who's sort of starting out in those early days, just reinvest. I didn't take any money out of the business for the first 2 years. It was just reinvest, buy more stock, buy more stock, buy more stock, and just building up that pot of money, if you like, to really get a good, stable base. So yeah, reinvest. Don't just think, oh, I've got some money, well, I'll take it out and walk away, because then you're going to come to buy more stock and you haven't got the money. So it is quite capital intense in the first stage. I think but ongoing wise, it's just testing. I think the amount of testing, and we've talked about it before in the academy, but always be testing something, whether that's your hero image, whether that's your A+ content, whether it's the order of your images, whether it's I don't know, your title. Just constantly be tweaking and changing something and testing it. And as much as you do feel like, oh, I think that new hero image is going to be better than that one, I'd say a lot of the time I'm right with the guesses, but there's also quite a few occasions that I'm wrong, and I think and go, oh, that new one didn't perform as well as the old one, and therefore you stick with the old image. But you've tested it and you know that through data, not just through, well, I think that's better, so I'm going to do it, and ignore the data. So I think, and for me,
tells you everything.
That hero image, if you can constantly change that hero image, what else can you add in it? How can you change the size of the products, tweak some of the text maybe that's on your packaging, or something that just really resonates with your customers as you find out more about your customers and how they buy in through PPC, and find out what the keywords that are converting. How do you then feed that back in and put that into your packaging, put that into your branding, etc. So yeah, I think that's just, there's always something you can do. I think that's the hardest part now, is I could think of 100 things to do each day, and it's actually what are the ones that are really going to, the leverage that are really going to make that, turn the dial up some way.
Yeah, because a lot of the time you can become a busy idiot, right?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna like optimize my PPC again and do it again, when in fact actually that time might be spent on optimizing your hero image, or your title, or your pricing, or your whatever. And I think I see a lot of people make that mistake of, like, my PPC doesn't work, my A cost is really high, and they think that it's a PPC problem. I think what you're saying is that actually a lot of the focus is, test your PPC, but test everything else as well, because that's super, super important. And the good thing about this is, about like your approach, is that your competitors won't be doing it. Like
No,
the majority of people don't do it, which
no.
is
And
why.
you see, I think that's the other part for me. I do quite regularly, I will be searching on those key search terms for the products, and then just seeing, again, checking out the competition, seeing all of a sudden different adverts pop up, or you look at some of the listings, you go, oh, right, they've changed some of their images, or they've done something else. And so, as much as yes, what you can truly control, internally with your own product and your own listing, actually, what else is going on in the marketplace? What are other customers? And not in the view to copying them, but picking out the good bits. And I think that's, I guess, another little tip is, for people either starting with their listings or want to revamp their listings, look at the competition. And I think but the tip is bucket their images, group them, so right, these images look at how do they display the size of the product. This one looks at the different uses or the benefits, or this one looks at the I don't know how easy it is to use, or whatever it might be, and kind of bucket all those images, because and then almost pick out the best one from each of those buckets, and then ultimately you've kind of got an optimized listing, because you kind of got the best of it. Because it's very unlikely, even on my listings, obviously, very unlikely that you're going to have the best 5 or 7 images across the whole board when you compare to your competitors. But again, take that as because you can still even improve those ones. So don't just blindly copy. That's not what it's about. It's how do you get something, go, oh, that's a good idea, but if you actually combine those 2 images, then you get an even better image.
Yes.
And that's how you then go to market with a real consistent flow of images that really help the customer make that buying decision. Because again, personally, having played around with some of the A+ content, even going from where you get the real basic text before your brand kicks in, sometimes I'm not that convinced that many customers actually go down and read the description, look at your A+ content further down. I'll say probably, I think, just my gut feel, 80 to 90% of customers look at the images. If it ticks their box, solves their issue, boom, they're hitting that buy button, they're buying it. The tweaks I've made in A+, and it's made pretty much no difference. It just shows how important those key images, those first 6 or 7 images are. Or if you've got a video as well, that's obviously another bonus. Because I think that makes that decision for the customer.
Definitely, yeah. And people can get bogged down in A+ content, can't they? And
yeah,
when you realize it's good for SEO, absolutely, you've got a lot of SEO juice you can get in there. But yeah, most people, if they don't like your images at the top of the page, they're not going to scroll down to the bottom of the page. It's just not going to happen. And a lot of people will spread their attention across their carousel of images and the A+ content, but actually it's much better to put all of your attention above the folds, above the scroll mark, get them right. And use your competitors, look at what they do well and try and improve upon it. Because to be honest, that's what they've probably done. They probably looked at other people, maybe even in a different niche. And I think that's something that I always look at, is what do people do in different categories or similar types of products. So if I was doing a health related product in one particular subcategory, I would actually look in a different subcategory that has a similar maybe pain point or a similar reason why someone's buying it, and go, well, what are they doing? How are they communicating it? Maybe I can take something that's completely separate but is actually a very good idea. And also look at things that you have done well. I did a test, I can't remember exactly when it was, really good conversion rate on a listing, and I was just like, why is this listing converting so well? I knew the images were good, but I was like, but it shouldn't be this good. Right? So I was then right, okay, let's try it. Maybe let's recreate this image, but for a different ASIN, different category. Let's just see if this style of photo concept can work in another area. Did that, and it did increase the conversion rate. I was like, oh my God, I've stumbled across some magic here. I then tried it on another product, didn't work at all. All. It had zero impact whatsoever. So whilst that image worked for those products, it didn't work for all products. And I think that's when you have to take a pinch of salt, right? Just because it's working other places doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Yeah. That's what you need to test, get that data and come back to it, right?
So another tip that I've used is look outside your own marketplace. So if you're predominantly selling in the UK, look on Amazon.com for the same product. Okay, it might have a slightly different search term, but you'll find the product. And then again, look at the competitors in that marketplace, look at their images and say, because then that just gives you that wider scope as to actually, yeah, those guys, they've really got on something. And you're less treading on people's toes even then, because it's just so, it's a different marketplace. You've got to be careful, obviously, because some things don't translate, or what one marketplace is important to them, it's not as important to another place. But again, just getting some ideas, just getting some of those creative ideas as to, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about doing it in that way, but actually I can do it even better in that way. And again, just, yeah, so different marketplaces, have a look what else is going on. And just think again, what is it that customers care about? Some products, as I said earlier, the size of the product, if it's a bag or if it's something that needs to fit in something or be used with something, size is important. That needs to be on there. If it's a general item, like a mug or a cup or something, people don't care how, they know the size of a cup. They don't need to be shown the size of it. So don't waste an image by putting dimensions on. So yeah, sometimes it's irrelevant, sometimes it's not. And just think about that, from the customer point of view. What is it that they want to find out? What is it that they want to know? And different products, they'll have different requirements. So yeah, just bear that in mind.
Know your customer.
Yeah.
Know what they want, and then just give them the answers to the questions that they have, and then they should buy your product. And obviously that just comes down to really just doing your research, looking at the reviews, looking at what other people are doing, using a bit of common sense as well. What we're doing more at the moment now is like polling people and just getting information from people to say, well, why do you like that? Like, what? Oh, I like this. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize people like this element, or maybe I should lean into that a little bit more than I did before. Test it, see if it works, come back, look at the results, and off we go again. What does the next kind of year or so look like for you?
So I guess it's growth. So just to add in, so the part I don't think we mentioned. So it was just over a year ago in April 23 that I quit my full-time job. And so since then, and I always say Amazon's my full-time job, as in it's my job that when I'm working, that's what I'm working on, but it's not necessarily full-time. So last year has been adjusting, I guess, a little bit to being your own boss, making sure that you're doing the work when you need to do the work. And just to start with, really getting that some of that consistency to know that you're getting those consistent sales in, to kind of take away some of that stress and worry. And going forward, it's really growth. So as I said earlier, a little bit more really focusing in now on one brand and looking at different variations, going deeper and really sort of owning and commanding that niche, with the idea being that when people are searching for products, my products are going to be pepper dashed around all over that search page. It's not just one product and then some variations that hidden within it. There's going to be 5 or 6 different products that should be shown all over that search page.
You want to be omnipresent.
Omnipresent,
so people can't get away with it.
That's it. And then really pushing the bit of when they click on my listing, trying to build up more defense around the advertising, so that the other products that are on there that customers might click are going to be my products, or again try and push as many of the competitors off there as possible, and obviously going after some of the other competitors to go and advertise a bit more harshly on some of their listings as well. So try to really kind of dominate that within that niche and that brand. But there's still another brand that I've got that I'm actively expanding and putting products in there. So yeah, it's really just about expanding. It is a bit of a balance, I guess, with the capital you've got and the timing of everything. Obviously, so Amazon pay out every 2 weeks. Typically you're paying for your stock up front, typically on 30-70 split, typically with a lot of suppliers. So you actually, it's very cash hungry at the front. You're getting your cash out at the back end quite late. And so it's really just managing that and looking to see, how you plan out for that year to make sure that you've got the money available at the right time to buy stock, to replenish stock. So expanding both product wise, but also marketplaces, I guess, is my second strategy. So I went into the US right at the end of last year, and then aiming to go into Germany Just going through the back process at the moment. So in the next 2 months, hopefully 2 to 3 months, I should be able to get that sorted, get some stock ordered, and get that into Germany. So it's really about expanding the products that I've got. Not all the products I've got they just won't work in certain marketplaces, and that's I'm not going to try and push that because I just know they're going to be a flop. So the ones that are translatable into other marketplaces, expand those out. So yeah, it's still product expansion and marketplace expansion are the two.
Amazing. So I think the main thing that you're doing, because a lot of people go, well, how do I expand? I either release more products or I go deeper into the products I've already got. And going deeper into the products you've got the supplier relationships, like you know the product, you know the advertising, you know everything at this point. It's just a case of, okay, let's make it relevant to a different audience, a US audience or a German audience, or what you said earlier with going through and owning that niche, being like the king of that category. It's the customers, what people are clicking, what people want. So it's not as much of the product research and development isn't as strenuous, because you're not trying to find something new and trying to find a new angle and a new brand and new everything. You're just going in deeper to what you've already got. And I think generally speaking, that's like the easiest.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if easy is the right word, but it's the easiest. Creating new brands takes a long time. It's a cost intensive process. And I think you're right, especially with the cash flow. What we've seen over years is that first 10 to 100K is, you're bootstrapping it. You're still reinvesting as much as you can. You're really waiting for that money from Amazon to get more stock, and you're in and out of stock. Typically that's what you see. But after that point, you then have a business and go, oh, this is actually working now. Like people are buying the product. It's just a case of how can I make sure I always have enough money? And you don't want to then do another product and put money into that to then 3 months later realize my main product that's bringing in most of my revenue is now delayed by a month because I didn't have my money in time. That's really detrimental. And that's part of, I think, when you first started out, you don't foresee those as problems that you're going to have. You see product, what's my product market fit? How am I going to stand out and actually make this profitable? And then once you're profitable, you realize, oh, there's a whole bunch of other problems that I've got now about actually running a business, which is not the glamorous part, is it? Really? No, but it's got to be done.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of bits just to pick up on. So you'd said, I forget what I was going to say.
One of them days.
Stock. So I think that was one of the biggest things, is going out of stock. And I don't think people realize, unfortunately, how detrimental that is these days within Amazon. If they see sellers going out of stock, coming in, going out, you're just going to get pushed down. And it's so hard to get back to where you were. You think, oh, I was doing loads of sales, and when my new stock comes in, I'll just go back to doing those sales. And it is, so many people struggle because you're back to essentially launching a new product again. You've got to treat it as if you're relaunching, and the time, the effort, and everything that goes into that. So yeah, that's one. I think it's almost a non-negotiable almost now of, don't get out of stock. And my advice would be, again, maybe more for new sellers, is if you're going to buy 1,000 units, well, can you push that to 1,500? Is there something you can just push a little bit? Okay, a little bit more risk, but actually that will give you longer before you then need to make that decision, rather than going, oh, got 2 months of sales, right, I need to hit the button to reorder. Firstly, you haven't got as much money back in through the business, and secondly, you haven't got as much data. Whereas if you could get, if 1,500 units gets you 3 months worth of data and 3 months of time, you've got more money back in, you've got more data, and you go, right, I'm more confident now to order. So I think, as long as you're doing your initial due diligence, then look to see how big can you place that first order, because actually that, when you reorder, that actually is a bigger help than going small in the first place.
It is really tricky. And I think there's something that we tried more recently, is that initial order, to not do it quite to the level of what your full order would be, but use it as basically a throwaway ASIN. You get your barcode and all that sort of stuff. You get it, you launch it. You don't focus too massively on reviews. You just get the data from the PPC. you test your hero images and you make sure it's working, and basically use it as a testing platform. You take that data away, and then you go and do the larger stock order, brand it now related to what you now know will work better on Amazon, and you order more units at that point so that you're not going to go out of stock. And that first one, you just kind of throw it away. You just ditch the listing at that point. It served its purpose, and you can now take all that information and put it into the actual product with a lot more confidence than you did 3 months earlier when you hadn't run that ASIN before. It takes longer, but it's kind of getting around that issue of Amazon of, like, if you go out of stock, like, we're gonna penalize you for it, basically. And how do you then launch a product? Like, you don't want to order 5,000 units on your first order, because, like, what if there's a problem with those units? So I think as time goes on, like, I think strategies like that will be used even more. Like, typically in the past, we've gone, do a sample order, 200 units, 250 units, but do it basically to the same standard as what you're going to do. You're going to then use that listing going forward. I think the new strategy will be is you use that and you ditch the ASIN after you've used it, and then you do it again, basically. So you get that, like, honeymoon period back again from scratch.
And I think the part for people to sort of remember is that not every product you do will be a home run. And I think that's the part that you can do due diligence, you work, do everything, and you do, but something just doesn't click, doesn't work, whatever it might be. And I think the key there is just don't be disheartened, because I probably got a little bit gung-ho, I guess, with sort of first product, and I sort of almost got to the thing, I'll just do a couple more products, and probably didn't quite do as much work as I should have done. And they've been all right, but and even now there's a couple of products I've got in across the whole brands that I just won't be reordering. It's like they've done all right, I've made some money on, but sales are slow. That's various reasons. And I think that's not to be afraid of knocking a product on the head. And just going, okay, but and just take the learnings. What is it? Maybe I didn't know. There's something. A lot of it is probably just the pricing. Probably the cost was probably a little bit too high. Therefore, you haven't got as much margin. Therefore, you can't put as much into PPC. You haven't got the profit. So some of it is around pricing, I think, with some of the products I've had, and others have just been the marketplace has just probably been a bit too aggressive, and I just haven't been able to really really break through enough and get high enough rankings to sort of be seen. So it is.
So don't take that.
Just be honest and just look at the data. I think it's easy to be like, but next month it's going to be all right. No, next month it'll be, and kind of just fool yourself. I think that's the biggest bit within this, having a business, let alone and especially within the Amazon business, is don't fool yourself. With the data, you get a lot of data, access to a lot of data. And just be honest, if you're not running profitably or you're not turning around the stock, whatever it is, just be honest, accept it. PPC, if you're spending more every month, you're spending a hell of a lot more money on PPC than you're getting sales in across the whole board. To be honest, look, next month's not going to be any different.
Do something about it, basically.
Do something about it. And that's it. You're right. Either look at the data and go, right, what do I need to change to turn this around? And I do that quite often each month, and end of each month I'll do quite a lot of analysis on each product, and then it will give me those things to say, right, these are the 3 products, and from each of these 3 products, these are the things I'm going to do to change it, because actually I spent too much on PPC on that product, or I just have those sales have been really low this month. Like, what can I do to increase those sales? What are the options? What are those levers I've got to do that? But it's looking at the data, doing something with the data, and being honest. If there's something, if it's bad, just be honest.
Don't beat a dead horse, right? It's if it's down and out and it's just taking up a lot, it's causing you a lot of stress, having a lot of issues with it. Like, say for example, it was a product that was quite big, it's like an oversized product, and you're spending loads of money on storage fees, right? Just plummet the price, get rid of it, and just move on to something else. Maybe you can renegotiate a better deal with a supplier now that you know the price barrier which sells the product fast, or you just move on. You recoup as much money as you can and you move on and go, right, cool, lesson learned. Like, if I'm going to do a product of this size, I need to make sure that I'm ordering enough stock so that I'm selling this much, so I'm not keeping this amount of storage, or I have a secondary storage facility. Like, those are all things that you learn each time. but you have to, I guess, have that logical approach rather than the emotional, oh no, it's my baby, I've created it, I don't want to get rid of it.
I think I did hear a really good quote the other day. I don't know where it came from, but it was, "Don't marry your product, still somebody else's girlfriend." And I thought that was, I read that, I thought that is really good, because as you said, people get too emotional and too attached to, oh, I've done all the product research on this one product, and well, it might not. And again, they fool themselves into, oh, there should be enough profit in there, and it's just like, and then they, and if they go through with it, and then, oh, well, maybe I'll get a reorder, maybe it'll be better than the next time. It's just, don't get married to those products. Still someone else's girlfriend. Go and look at what else is selling. Go and do that, and steal it. Don't. That's a good.
I love that, because a lot of people, like, they send me profit calculations and stuff like that. Like, here's the product, like, here's the profit calculations, and it's just not high enough. The profit margins they've worked out on the negotiation they've done, it's just not good enough. And I have to say, like, it's not going to work, right? You need to get higher profit margins. Or if you're negotiating on 200 units or 500 units, cool, but negotiate on 5,000, 10,000, and like, is this a short-term problem, or is this a long-term problem? And at that point, you then know, well, can I actually afford this problem right now, or is this something that is not going to be resolvable? In which case, don't do the product. Like, don't go into it. If the margins aren't there, like, it's not going to work. I've launched a product a few weeks ago. There's a 56% profit margin. Like, it's just madness. It's crazy.
Good.
But everything works, right? Everything works a lot smoother because there's just this ginormous margin to work with.
Yeah.
Could I have done a product that had a lower margin that maybe sold more units or whatever? Possibly, yeah. Or I mean, definitely. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right decision business-wise. Like, really, you need to make sure, especially for long-term growth, that there's margin there. Like, you need the margin. And if I look at people in the academy that have got into the 7-figure club, right? There's no shock that all of their margins are good, and they've been good from almost the very beginning. They've just had products that have had good margins. They've done a good job negotiating. They've built a brand. They've added value. They're not necessarily the cheapest product. They're not maybe the most expensive, but they're certainly maybe over average.
And you're right. And I think profit, people underestimate, I think, sometimes the amount of PPC, especially when you start, and that's exactly that, short term versus long term. Short term, those first 3 months, hopefully, are going to be probably your most expensive PPC months, because that's where you need to pump the money in to get some visibility, to get the sales to get going. But even then, it's that, can you afford it? How long can you afford to do that? And actually, when PPC then does drop down to a more acceptable or reasonable level, does that then still leave you with 0% profit, or have you still got profit after accounting? And I've seen it, and I know other sellers have seen it. PPC costs are just going up. There's more competition. I'm bidding higher now for products that I was selling a year ago or 2 years ago, which is fine for me, because I guess I've got a good conversion rate on most of the products, and that you can, it eats into your profit a bit more, but you can handle it. Whereas if you're coming fresh in and you're going, well, I've got to pay that much to get a click, it makes it really hard, I think.
And that's why conversion rates are just like, it's just so critical, like, especially now versus 2020 when you started. Of course they're important, but there's definitely, advertising is more expensive comparatively, but also prices are more expensive as well. Like, the cost of living, everything's gone up. It's so important to have your good conversion rate. So last thing, if you were to sum up all of your experience, right, what is the one piece of advice that, I know this is sometimes quite hard, but is there one thing where you go, your friend's going to start Amazon, before they start, warning, right? What's the one piece of advice?
I'm probably going to say a few things. So I think, firstly, if anyone's thinking or looking at doing it, step in and do it. Like, that's the biggest thing. Take some action and do it, and don't live in regret, and don't go in 2 years time, oh, maybe I should have done it 2 years ago. If you haven't already started, the best time's now. In terms of, I think the key part here is, despite what a lot of people might say or what you might see on various videos, it's not quick. It's not a get rich quick scheme. I think we've had conversations about this before, but it is a get rich slow scheme. It is, potential big exits. There's been, if you can build up that brand and build up that story and build it to a point where somebody wants to buy that as a business, and look, that's the part you've got to look further down, not just next month, next year, but look further down the line and look for that big exit. I think that's the part that then you start to see those dollar signs in your eyes as to, oh, right. So if they typically work on multiples of your profit, your turnover, etc., various bits of how much more they think they can grow it. But yeah, you could get some potentially big paydays at the end of it.
That's the key.
That then gives you another lump sum of capital to then go, right, what's next? What are the markets, businesses, etc. could you then do? Now you're sat on that big pot of money. So I think the other part I didn't say at the start, but my initial part when I first started was, if I can just get an extra couple of £100 a month, and if that goes towards a car payment or go towards something else, that was all I was thinking of. Oh, it'd be nice if I can just have a couple of £100 profit a month extra, and then it's just,
I think that's per day,
and that's it. And now that's like a daily, and it's just, I think that how you grow and I think the other part is the mindset. Your mind has to be in the right place. You might have a really good product, you might have a really good, but if your mindset's not there, if you've got a scarcity mindset and not an abundant mindset, it's gonna change your decision. It's gonna change what you do, how you do it. And I think that positive mind, and I've done a hell of a lot of reading the last few years on business and psychology and all the other things that go with it, which has really, again, stepped up my game and just makes you realize what's possible. It just opens up so much more, so many more doors, and the opportunities are there. So yeah, I know I'm just giving a single answer about starting Amazon.
It's important. On that, like, what's possible, you did a post the other day of how many units you sell. Is it what was it?
Even from the start of this year, 24, I've sold an average of a product every 11 minutes, and that's if you average it out through the whole day, the whole night, one every 11 minutes, and it's just like I had to do that calculation like 3 or 4 times. Go, no, that can't be right. No, that
1 hour and 10 minutes? No, 11 minutes.
And it's like, you think, I must have done my calculation right. It can't be that. And it's 7 days a week. It's not most people, you go to work, or if even if you're self-employed, you generally would go to work Monday to Friday. You're not earning at the weekends. Okay, you might do the odd Saturday job, but you're not working, earning at the weekends. I'm earning Saturday, Sunday. I'm earning, Christmas Day.
Yeah. And I like to picture that as, like, imagine you had a shop and you had one person come in every 11 minutes, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You'd be like, oh my God. Like, and there was a ching, yep, next person. Oh, yeah, same one again, ching, 100,000 times, And
I think that reiterates the part, though, that you couldn't run a business like that. No. You couldn't have, that amount. You couldn't do it, like, if I was packing these every day, I wouldn't have the time in the day to be packing. And that's the power of the Amazons. They do the heavy lifting. They're storing products, they're picking them, they're shipping them, delivering to the customers. And I say, whether if I sell a handful of products a day or hundreds of products a day, I'm not doing any extra work. It's not like, oh wait, there, I can't go out tonight because I've got to pack these extra 50 boxes and get them out to the courier. I just love that. If I have a massive spike in sales one day, it's like, oh,
cool. Like in bed with your wine. Oh, that's nice.
So nice. No extra work. I'll take that. I'll just take the extra money, and that's so. Yeah, I think the part, how much heavy lifting Amazon do for you compared to a lot of it. When you look at another typical business, whether that's physically having a lease or owning a property or renting a property, having staff, business rates, all the other things that go with it. There is so much money that it costs just to be there and to have some presence, whereas actually as an Amazon business, okay, you might have VAs or you might have some consultants or some freelancers, etc., but very rarely do you have staff. You might do if you grow and do different bits, but generally you won't have your own direct staff that you're managing. You haven't got shops and businesses and buildings to look after, and so that's, even though you need money to put into the business to get it up and running, compared to, I'm not going to say a real business, compared to like bricks and mortar type business, it's a fraction of that money.
Yeah. The real business, because it
It's
doesn't
quiet.
feel, but it doesn't feel real sometimes, because it's
No,
not, you're not doing anything. It's like you just update your phone and then you've made more. It's everything's in the ether, everything's like online from your perspective, it's on your computer. But obviously if you go to an Amazon warehouse, it's very, very, very real to a very large scale. Incredible. I think incredible progress that you've had over the past few years, and it's going to be exciting to see how the next couple of years go as well.
It's hopefully the start of things to come and to keep growing, and I'm enjoying it. I think that's the biggest bit when I've talked to people who've seen me over the last few years. The general feedback is you're just so much happier. And it's that I enjoy, we have some jokes with people, because it's like I actually enjoy doing coming to work, if you like. When we've been away, we were on holiday last week, and I was like, I'm looking forward to being back home, getting back and doing some work. And it's when you're living like that, you got something right. People, and I find it hard now when I see people and they're like, it's work on Monday, or it's Friday, I've got a couple of days I can actually enjoy myself, and then it's back to work on Monday. And it's just like, I feel for that. It not frustrates me, I just feel for them, and it's hard.
You wish you could shake someone and go like, come on,
can we do something? It might not be Amazon, but can we do something that you can enjoy? And then there's, I don't know if it's Warren Buffett or some quote around, if you enjoy what you do, you never work another day in your life. And it's just like, and I would work so much harder now to not have to go back to a full-time employed job. It's like I think it'd be surprising just how hard I would fight not to go back and do a 9 to 5, because the flexibility, that's the other part. We sort of touched on it a little bit with sort of lifestyle business, but the flexibility I've got, sports days, or you need to pop out to the shop, whatever it is during the day, I'll just go and do that. It's no problem. And like,
nothing's going to burn down. Everything's good.
Summer holidays, the kids are around. It's like, I'll pop in and I'll do this. I've got to work, obviously. I've got to do put in some hours still. Otherwise, come September when they go back to school, I might be a bit behind the curve. But I can have that flexibility. We can have time off. I can go and do stuff with them, and that's the part. That's really my challenge this summer, is to get that balance right and make the most of the job I've got, because that's what enables me to do, and that's why I wanted to do this job, or to have this business, to give me that flexibility. So now it's that bit of, I've got to make sure I know I use it. Otherwise, I'm just being again.
At the end of the day, you don't want to be a slave to your own business, and it takes time, because it's a money issue. Normally it's right, let's bring an account manager in, now let's bring someone else in, let's a graphic designer, let's actually get them on retainer to do these these changes every single month. And over time, particularly I found when you go on holiday, you realize how much you need these things. And I've always found every year, I'm like, right, I'm going on holiday, how do I make sure I can do less when I'm actually away? And if at all, nothing at all. I'd rather do nothing, like not even need to turn on my phone or anything like that. And every year it gets better, because you think, well, actually that one thing that I do, which requires me logging on to this certain whatever, I don't want to do that. I don't want to check. I don't, if there's a fire going on, I don't even want to know about it. So is there people that can actually manage that process? And I think that's when it really becomes that lifestyle of, my business is being ran, I'm pushing it forward, I'm the visionary for my brand, for my business, but actually the donkey work is gradually going to other people, so that you can do the sports day, you can have lunch with the family when they're on summer holidays, or go out to the cafe, or go for a walk, and you've not got someone breathing down your neck going, I need this report, I need this something or other, or and that's like quite liberating. It takes time to get to. So like if people are watching and they go, I'd love that, it's not going to happen in 6 months. Like it's just not going to happen unless you have really deep pockets at the very beginning. It's just extremely unrealistic. But at your stage, once you've been able to replace your income, your job income, and then you can make this your full-time thing, that's when your productivity level can go from like here to just like way up there. And you realize it actually doesn't take that many hours to run the business. It's just
Right.
how much time do I want to spend growing it? And that's the really cool place that you're in right now, is like, I want to do it, I like doing it, and then your results are going to follow that, which is cool.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. If anyone's got any questions, just put them down in the chat, in the comments, or whatever platform this is in. Love it, man. I can't wait to do another one of these in a year's time.
Be good.